Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, that was a game of all time. Welcome in, everyone, to Game Over Toronto. I'm your host, Zach Payne. With me is my co-host, Lauren Williamson. And Lauren, that was peak 6-on-5 Merchant Leafs on display, it seemed like.
Yeah. It feels like this season there have been a couple of games that the Leafs did not play well in that in years previously, they would have just won anyway. And until the last 5 minutes of this game, it felt like that, except that it looked like they weren't going to come back because they had six more shots in the third period than they had in the first two combined. And I we won the back-to-back. Yay. We get our first overtime win of the season. So, there was lots to be disappointed about in this game, but at the end of the day, we got the 2 points. And Washington outplayed us for the most part of the game tonight, and so I'm just happy to be here with cookies and a win. How about you, Zach?
It took putting the puck in the back of the net 4 times to erase a 2-goal deficit. The Leafs didn't show up for the first 40 minutes of the game. So I don't really know what to say. That was just a game of all time, and I think we have to start with how the Leafs played for the majority of the game, which was very not good. We'll keep this. We'll go in chronological order. We'll get to the good ending later.
Yes.
But yeah, that was not a good start. And going into this game, the lineup was brutal. We looked at I made note of the bottom 6 being just not NHL caliber. We have 3C, David Kampf, Holmberg, Alex Steeves is on the third line. It did not look good going into the game, and the result was most of the game the Leafs, surprise surprise, the trend continues, can't generate offense at 5-on-5. So what was going wrong for the Leafs just for a majority of this game?
It really felt like, to start off, they couldn't connect any passes. There were so many giveaways in the first 40 minutes, like all the way through the lineup. There was bad turnovers on defense. There was bad turnovers on offense. There were bad rebounds that were not able to clear. And it felt like for a lot of the game, the Caps were doing a very good job of getting in the way, of blocking shots, of blocking passes, of being in the right place at the right time to take passes away from the expecting Leafs player. And it felt like the Leafs couldn't get it going the other way and do that the same way for the Caps. It did happen a little bit more in the third period, but the first 2 periods, I watched the first 17 minutes of the game last night, and the beginning of the game didn't super feel like that right away, simply because the Leafs did tie it when Washington did score. But it really felt like when they went up 2-1 and then when they went up 3-1 that it was just going to be a sad whimper, empty net winning goal for Washington. It very, very nearly was. Like that stop by the top line that was on the ice, and the Nyes and Marner and Tavares at the end. Heck of a job keeping it out of their net. They did more defense in that 4-second span than it felt like they did all night.
Yeah, and I think it was Protoss who, on a 2-on-1 in an empty net, passes the puck, and it results in the Caps not scoring. And then Nyes made a great back-checking play to prevent another shot as well. So the Leafs, for most of this game, this felt... I don't know if you feel the same way or if people in the chat feel the same way. The vibes were horrible for most of this game. Matt Wilkins in the chat saying our defense got their lunch money stolen for the middle 40 minutes of that game. You could even include the start of that game too. I know the chances weren't necessary. The Leafs have been playing low event hockey, which in general has kept the chances low, but they were not getting the better chances in this game for a majority of it. And it was really disheartening to watch. This was a game that in previous years, before, if I wasn't doing a stream, I would kind of have my phone, I'd be on my phone half the game, not really paying attention, because it's just that the energy was not present for most of the game. But I think it was the Protoss goal later in the game where I mentally wanted to check out because it's a 2-on-1 and then a pass that doesn't work out, and then 4 Leafs crash to one side of the net and leave Protoss open back door for a wide open goal. And that's when I was like, okay, the Leafs aren't winning this game. Pack it in. It is what it is. But they managed to turn it around. Lauren, I in sticking with the 5-on-5 for a second, this bottom 6 obviously was not good enough. The Leafs at 5-on-5 had not been good enough coming into this game. But in general, did they show an improvement to you in their ability to generate 5-on-5 offense tonight compared to the previous 5 games where Connor Timmins had more 5-on-5 goals than the forwards?
Well, let me, yes and no. Like, I don't want to say the bottom 6 were good or bad. There were definitely some really bad misgivings and some really, really, really bad pass decisions and playmaking decisions that happened by the bottom 6 that were awful. Having said that, Steven Lorentz is in the bottom 6, and he had a heck of a game today, despite the fact that his goal was not called an actual goal. He was all over the ice tonight, and I think we can probably both agree that he was maybe the best forward on the bottom 6. Even though that goal didn't count, I mean, David Kemp gets out there for overtime, which is weird. Don't get me wrong, I love David Kemp. I literally have one of the issued sweaters by the team with the number 64 on it. It's frequently used in the tags of these videos. I love David Kemp, but he does not belong on the ice in overtime like that. He's obviously not a defensive liability, which is great, but he also does not make any offense happen. The bottom 6, I mean, I'm glad to see that they were willing to make a change. It was nice to see Connor Dewar get in for a game. It was nice to see Alex Steeves get a call-up. He was probably the Leaf in the first period that had the most chances. He was playing the hardest for the first 40 minutes for sure. The rest of the team seemed to catch up to him, but he looked like the only player on the ice in the first period for sure that was first to the puck, that was making good passes, that was making good decisions on the ice that weren't immediately leading to turnovers. So there's good things, but there's bad things too. Like, Nick Robertson gets to sit out tonight, and I can't help but feel, and you're welcome to argue with me on this, I can't help but feel like Nick Robertson is a good player. He puts a lot of effort in, and while he falls over basically once a game, I don't think he would have nearly as many turnovers tonight as Pontus Holmberg. That guy needs to sit and realize that he's on the bubble here, because he is not, to me, he's not playing well enough to justify him being on the ice over Nick Robertson.
I feel for Holmberg because, and I think might have been Dominic and I, we did a season preview pod and we talked about this, but Pontus Holmberg is Calle Järnkrok, except instead of doing everything decently, he does none of it decently. It's kind of the can do anything, but not well right now. Right. And he's just not playing like an NHL player. He seems like he'd be a fine 13th. He could fill in if someone gets hurt, but this team is really missing Calle Järnkrok right now. So, yep. And obviously Austin Matthews, obviously missing Austin Matthews
That's the
too.
Obvious.
But that kind of goes without saying that, yes, your 5-on-5 offense will improve when Austin Matthews returns.
That's the free square on the bingo card tonight, right? Oh, we missed Austin Matthews. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. And
next.
I, for one, will advocate for Matthews to not be on Marner's line when he comes back. But that's a conversation that I think we'll save for later. Smart. If with Nick Robertson specifically, I'm getting concerned that we are heading dangerously close to, and Pacioretty, yes, good point, Matt. With Robertson, I think we're getting close to Timothy Liljegren territory. And what I mean by that is we're getting dangerously close to me saying, what was the point of signing this player for the second time in 2 months? We went through this saga with Liljegren where, okay, you don't play him in the playoffs, you re-sign him, you proceed to then not play him and trade him. With Robertson, the only difference is you didn't overpay him. You paid him a proper price based on what he had given you, but you don't play him in the playoffs, or at least you didn't play him in Game 7. You then promise him ice time and give him a new contract. He doesn't play, and now there's a lot of trade rumors circling around him. So, I mean, I know some people have been talking about getting a 3C in. If you do Robertson plus for a third line center, I don't hate it. I just hate the asset management. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, let's actually just pull up the bottom six right now, other than
Sure.
Nick Robertson. I don't. So you would rather. So I think that Nick Robertson has a higher likelihood of getting something back that's decent, simply because I think he has a really high ceiling. I think that I think that there are probably a number of contributing factors to why he's not producing the way that we know he's capable of when he's actually here. It is disappointing that he hasn't been able to get more ice time. The fact of the matter is, though, is he hasn't been playing well enough and putting up enough points to justify him having a better spot in the lineup, because that second line of Pacioretty, Tavares, and Nylander was so good for the couple weeks where everybody was healthy and good and happy. And I just have a really hard time justifying getting rid of Nick Robertson, because I do think he's going to be really good, over someone like Pontus Holmberg. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I don't think that if you tried to trade Pontus Holmberg and Matt Benning and a pick for a better player, I don't think that gets the same amount as Matt Benning, Nick Robertson, and a pick. If you're really going to upgrade.
I don't even know if they're going to... You just have to get an NHL caliber third line center in there, I think. I don't think it necessarily has to be a upgrade or someone that is... Like, Robertson's upside will likely be higher than anyone else in a potential Nick Robertson trade. Like, he is the highest upside asset that is going to be involved there. But you're hoping that you get probably a proven third line center that you can count on every night to maybe not necessarily drive play, but at least have positive results and generate some offense and be responsible defensively, be on the penalty kill, all that. But it's the problem is it's the Liljegren conundrum, where the upside is so tantalizing and it's exactly what they need, but it just hasn't happened yet. And I don't really know how. Like, it's all the pieces are there, everything is there, it just hasn't clicked.
I do think that the exception of that, though, is that at the beginning of the season, in preseason, I know it's preseason and it doesn't really count, Nick Robertson did score 5 goals, and that does it. Even though it doesn't count in the stats, I think energy-wise, it shows that he is capable of doing it. I don't know why he hasn't been able to connect the dots at this point in the season. Like, Bobby McMahon now has more goals than him. He also plays higher in the lineup. But I agree that we need to do something about getting a third line center. And an excellent reference point to that, and proof that we need that, is for like a minute and a half on that overtime, there was a line that had no business being out there in 3-on-3, because there was no way that any offense was going to come. It was like, let me get this. If I remember correctly, it was Max Domi, David Kampf, and Jake McCabe, I think at one point, was out there together. And it's like, who's going to
my
shoot
nightmare?
that?
Like,
yeah, like it's your nightmare. Like it, yeah, like it's just, it's not the goal of offense in 3-on-3 is to give more space for people to take shots on goal. And I'm sorry, I think Steven Lorenz is a bigger shot threat than David Camp or Max Domi right now. Like, Max Domi scored a goal for the first time this season. It just happened to not be for the Leafs. Like,
yeah, like
I know that you're captain of the Max Domi should not be a Leaf anymore team, and tonight you have a very good argument for sure. I mean,
dare I say I've had a good argument for 17 out of 18 games.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you just look at the stats tonight, like the 3 stars, John Tavares with 1 goal, 1 assist, and is a +1.
Yep.
Protas is a 1-1-1, so 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 point for the Caps, and then William Nylander had a goal and an assist and was a -1 tonight. So even when the good guys were on the ice and playing well, they were oftentimes still getting outplayed.
Like, I don't know. So my thing with Domi, he needs to score because obviously that is I've yelled at him, everyone's yelled at him to shoot the puck.
Yep.
To his credit, there was a small instance of puck don't lie in this game where the puck hops over a Capitals stick at the Leafs blue line, and Max Domi is about to be gone on a breakaway, and they blow the play dead for the net being off its moorings, and then 30 seconds later, Max Domi has a phenomenal play, pokes the puck, and then gets a breakaway, doesn't score. But I was at least able to be like, you know what? He got the chance that he deserved after it got taken away from him, and he earned that. It's just...
Yeah.
Like, Lauren, if Max Domi's last name was anything other than Domi, would he be a Leaf right now?
I think that he would be a Leaf last year. I don't think they would have resigned him in the summertime.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying. Like, what the Leafs signed Max Domi to, was it $4 million they're paying him for 3 years?
I think so.
You are paying an Austin Matthews merchant $4 million for the next 3 years. Domi?
In fairness,
good.
In fairness, we were going to talk about lines later on.
Mm-hmm.
What was the line last year that got Austin Matthews 69 goals?
Bertuzzi, Matthews, Domi.
Right. And who is the person that is suddenly bigger than Tyler Bertuzzi and likes playing in the same spot as Tyler Bertuzzi, just doesn't punch people in the face the same amount as Tyler Bertuzzi?
Matthew Nice.
So I have a proposition that should be seen. I'm not saying carve it into stone and build a wall and a trophy, but why haven't you considered trying that?
Because they're still trying this Domi at center experiment. They are still trying to prove to themselves that Domi is a versatile player. And
in fairness, Matthews is out and there's no one else that could take that place.
And that's fair. For right now, that's fair. But I'm talking about the season at large right now.
Yeah.
They have been trying to prove that Domi can play up and down the lineup. No, he can play first line right wing on Austin Matthews' line. And that's it. That's the only spot he can feasibly play. Because if you play him at center, even though he is actually decent at faceoffs, he's not defensively responsible enough to play center. He also does not drive play on his own, so he can't be on the third line because then you have no play drivers. He can't be on the second line because then you're putting him against competition that's too good for his defensive warts. So you're left with he has to play on the top. You could maybe do second line left wing, maybe, but then what? Are you doing Domi, Tavares, Nylander? That's even worse defensively. Again, we'll talk about line combination specifically later, but Domi is just, I'm not sure that, I was always pretty sure that not signing him was not a wise investment, a wise use of the limited cap space they have. And now you have half the fan base that is clamoring to trade him because he's not been good this year and he has not given them enough bang for their buck as opposed to even last year. So
in fairness, he did not play well to begin last year either. Now, and the other side of that is this has also been a longer stretch of games where he has not produced the same way. I'm just really quickly looking at the contract for Max Domi. 3.75 this year, next year, the year after that, and the year after that. He is not a UFA until 2028. And if you are going to be paid $3.75 million... If you're going to be paid that, that's fine. That's $1 million more than David Kampf. That's $1.5 million more than Calle Yarncroke. It is twice what Ryan Reeves is doing. It's more than twice what Bobby McMahon is making, and that's great. And if you're going to make that much money, you need to score more goals than those people. Now, David Kampf is not an elite goal scorer, and neither is Calle Yarncroke. But, Bobby McMahon should not have more goals than you right now. Matthew Knies on an entry-level contract and arguably the best deal on the Leafs right now. Can we agree on that, even though it's an entry level?
Yep.
You're making 4 times what Matthew Knies makes, and you have a fifth of the points.
In fairness, Knies does play with Matthews and Marner, so I'll give him that bump.
Sure.
But, look, should Bobby McMahon maybe score more goals than Max Domi? Oh, sure. Should he have more points than Max Domi? No. And you can go, they're just not getting enough for that investment. And what did Max Domi do last year to warrant a 4-year contract?
He was the right wing of Matthews
4 years.
Which okay, he was the right wing to Matthews, which is great, except that they already have 2 right wings that have played with Matthews that have caused him to score over 60 goals in the past.
And the problem is you put Domi. If you don't put Domi there, then he's useless. But they don't seem to want to break up Matthews and Marner right now for some godforsaken reason. But
For some reason,
yeah, I don't know. It just the management does not make sense, and I have a lot of questions for it's vibes. That's the only reason they re-signed him is vibes. And look, you can look at what Max Domi did in a vacuum last year and say, I liked what he did with Austin Matthews. Great. So he gets another 1-year mercenary contract to prove himself. Maybe, yeah, for like 4 years. 4 years. That he's not going to finish that contract as a Leaf. I could almost.
In fairness, this is the same management team that signed Ryan Reeves to a 3-year contract too.
They love term. I don't know what the Leafs' obsession with term is.
Boy, do they!
Like,
boy, do they!
Their entire defense core is locked up till age 40. Like,
on the other hand, the other side of that is terrifying because I don't really want to know what the dollar sign looks like beside Mitch Marner's name if they want to also give him term.
12-5?
I don't know. It's too early in the season to start worrying about that.
There's no way he would take less than Nylander. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's
that's a conversation for May.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, we've been yapping a lot. I think we should move over to our second period where we will actually talk about the good things of this game and the comeback. Before we do, I just you'll see the merch come up on screen. Lauren is repping the Game Over Toronto t-shirt. Make sure, and you'll see all the options on screen as well. So if you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, make sure you go check it out at thegameovernetwork.com and, pick up something. I know I just picked up the one of the skater hoodie, so you'll see me wear that in future streams as well. For now, gotta rock the Willie Styles shirt though. So
also, I want you to know that Joe saw that and gave heart hands for you.
Oh, beautiful! Love you, Joe.
So
yeah, I think I have like 3. I might even have to buy more because we're not talking about his.
I have a lot. I have at least 6 of his shirts.
But our store is also good, so
yes. Visit both.
Visit both. Support everyone.
Visit both.
Just support small creators. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
don't support people that resell Taylor Swift tickets for 15 times what they're worth.
Exactly. Quick question from Matt. Are they so afraid of preserving future cap space as it goes up that they use term for future leverage all the time? Yes, but I think it's also that the Leafs management gets bullied into these contracts because a player can go to, like, if it's free agency, Oliver Ekman-Larsson could have gone anywhere, but the Leafs don't have more money to entice him to come here, so they have to offer him term instead. That's the reason, is because the Leafs are so cap strapped, they have to offer term as a supplement for the absence of extra money on the average annual value. So
yeah, the problem with that though is it feels a little bit like Jack Sparrow saying, "Quit blowing holes in my ship."
Yep.
Like it's the holes in the submarine, right? You have one hole here and you put your finger on, and then another nut bursts and you have another hole here, and then all of a sudden you're trying to plug 15 holes with 10 fingers, and it's just, you can't do that. I mean, in fairness, the Leafs management team has done a very good job of suddenly having a wonderful amount of opportunity in net that is secure, despite what some people say. And while Joseph is no spring chicken, right? He's, I think, what, like 25?
25, 26.
He's not young, but
he's goalie young.
Also, yes, he's goalie young, right? This is the first time that he'll play over 30 games this season. He still has a lot to learn. He did give them a chance to win tonight. The one goal, there's more than one goal that you would hope would come back, but like that slap shot from John Carlson, like it didn't end up counting, but like no one is going to be able to save that. It was like a 97-mile-an-hour slap shot. Like, I don't know. He's not the reason that they won the game tonight, but he's also the reason that they didn't lose.
Yeah.
He gave them an opportunity, and if that same game happens last year and Samsonov is in net, they lose 5-2.
That was an average goaltending performance. Like there, and
Yeah.
and to his credit, he made a point blank save on Ovechkin in overtime that sprung Tavares for the winner. So
Yep. Absolutely.
do with
Absolutely.
that what you will. Stolarz is the number one for now. Yes, he absolutely is. Roger, I
Yeah.
much prefer this after game duo to the Sportsnet one. Thank you, Roger. We love you,
Aw.
and we love all of you that are in the chat. We got 11 people watching right now. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the chat as you guys have been doing. It's great to see all the support that we get, and we love interacting with you guys after each and every game. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
now let's just get into the third period at large, but the comeback, because this was a comeback that the Leafs, to their credit, they did earn a getting to overtime with their play in the third period. Now, granted, this was if at first you don't succeed, try again, because every time the puck hit the back of the net, you weren't quite sure if it was going to count. Starting with Steven Lorentz. I learned a new rule tonight. I did not know that the puck is not allowed to go off your leg and in. I know that the argument is that he directed it in. He kneed the puck into the net. Wasn't aware that was a rule. It didn't seem egregious to me, but
he kind of treated it like a hacky sack a little bit. A little bit. Like if we're gonna talk about overturned goals, we should probably actually rewind to the second period where the Washington penalty was called off for goaltender interference, because that, I mean, was it goaltender interference? Did he touch him? But yes, but it was like when you're a kid and your sibling goes, not touching you, not touching you. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And he brushed him, but it was enough. And so we got that call off, which maybe we shouldn't have gotten. Right? There's a very good argument that the game could have been 3-1 there, and it would have been incredibly reasonable. And in fairness, the Steven Lorentz goal, he batted it out of air, and it was above the crossbar, man. Like if Steven Lorentz is the size of Cole Caulfield, that probably is not a high stick. But, he's like a foot taller than Cole Caulfield, so his stick is higher. So, different rules.
Okay, let's focus on the Washington one for a second. I would like everyone to join me in traveling back in time to the Montreal game on Saturday, where the Bobby McMahon, driving the net, puts the puck in front. He bumps Sam Montembeault on the way, and I don't even know who scored. It might have been Robertson. Goal ends up getting called back for goalie interference. Did Bobby McMahon enter the crease? Yes, he did. Did Bobby McMahon hit Sam Montembeault? Yes, he did. Did he prevent Sam Montembeault from making the save? No, he did not, because Sam Montembeault did not know where the puck was. Okay? In this game, was it Dowd that drove the net, or who was it? I don't even know. Comes to the net. Did he enter the crease? Yes. Did he touch Joseph Woll? Yes, he did. Did he prevent Joseph Woll from making the save? No, Joseph Woll did not know where the puck was. So I will give you the Lorentz kneeing one coming back, because if that had counted and the Capitals one didn't, riots. So is what it is. The Nyes one, it was the crossbar is the level for goals. Whereas it's weird. Like this is such a weird rule where it's if you're deflecting the puck into the net, it's crossbar height. But if you're high sticking the puck and then the play is blown dead, it's shoulder height. So did Nyes hit it above the crossbar? I don't know. It was close. I think that was one of them where if they had called it a goal on the ice, it would have stood. But there was not irrefutable evidence that it was below the crossbar. So you have to stick with the call on the ice. It's just unfortunate.
I got Lorentz and Nyes mixed up there because I forgot that there were two goals that were called no goals tonight for the Leafs. The Lorentz bats the puck out of the air was, a high stick, but he hits it with his leg. It was called no goal. And then the Nyes deflection, which again was a super high stick. There was a lot of overturned goals. This is still not as many as that New Jersey game last year.
No, but there was some.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
There was stuff thrown on the ice. Yeah. David.
There was 3 goals overturned?
Yeah. David enjoyed the stream, but we'll be going. Go Leafs go. Have a good night, David. Thanks for tuning in. I think there was 4 reviews in this game. One called back for Washington on a challenge, and then the Lorentz goal and the Nyes goal were both NHL, like the Situation Room, initiated those reviews. And then there was the double minor for high sticking that got called back because Knies did not hit him in he did not hit him in the face with his stick. He hit him with his shoulder.
If anything, he would look like he went, "Oh no!"
I know.
And, tried to curl away.
It was completely accidental.
Just you're big, man. That's just being big in the right place. That's all that is.
I would have laughed so hard if they reviewed a high sticking penalty and changed it to a different penalty. That would have been hilarious, but thank God.
Illegal check to the head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, 5 in a game, he's ejected. But
and of course it's the Leafs, so 5-game suspension.
Yeah,
because that's way worse than what Tanner Jeannot did.
Department of Player Safety might unironically fine him for that. But he's just he's a tall player and he's a big, strong dude, and the guy ran into his shoulder. It happens, but it's not a penalty. And then
bounced right off him too.
Yeah,
was like, what? There's a breeze on my shoulder. It was very funny.
Yeah, you'll see worse collisions at Best Buy on Black Friday. Yes, you will, Matt.
You'll see worse collisions on Costco on a Saturday.
True. Yeah.
Just saying.
So the goal's being called back. I don't know. Like, in the moment, I was certainly a little annoyed. I and I joked that it took 4 goals to overcome a 2-goal deficit. But in retrospect, all of them not counting is probably, well, based on precedent, probably the right thing. Like, based on the precedent that was established in a Leafs game on Saturday, the Caps goal can't count because that's what you said. Yep. You said you can't go on the crease and touch the goalie. The Lorentz one, he did kind of direct it. Yeah, like it's a ticky-tack play. If you don't, if it's no goal, better be no goal all season. That's all I ask for. And the high stick, if it was called on the ice, good goal, probably would have stood. It didn't. Is what it is. So
if it's this consistent with these calls with goaltender interference now, but then it changes in the playoffs, that's where I'm like, well, what was the point?
Well, we had there was like a 3-year stretch where no one knew what goalie interference was. If we are finally defining it as contact in the crease with the goalie that the player initiates.
Yep. Then, I totally agree.
Then I'm fine with it.
Were the calls like a little bit like, oh, you can't do anything these days, they're soft. You could argue that. You could. But at least they're being consistent. At least they are being consistent. In 2 games, they've done the same call. Okay.
Fundamentally.
If that's the rule, then fucking stick to it.
Fundamentally, the goalie interference, if this is how they're calling it, is the exact same as the slashing by getting a stick in the hands. It doesn't matter how hard it is. That's what they're calling. So
puck over the glass. You didn't mean to do it. Still happened.
Exactly.
Too many men didn't mean to do it. Still happened.
Yeah. So
at least be consistent. Because if you make it any other way, then it's open to interpretation, right? If you make it a hard, right. And if you make it situational, if you make it a hard and fast rule that if there is visible contact between a player of the opposing team and the goalie, then it's going to be called back. Then and this isn't just happening in Leafs games, it's happening in other games too, which again tells us that it's not just a 1-off, a 2-off, that it is a trend, and hopefully a trend that continues because, the league as a whole, this isn't even as a Leafs fan, I think any team in any market could watch this clip and say, yeah, there have been calls that go one way one night and one way another night, and it seems like at least with this, they're getting the play consistent and right. It's more consistent than how fines and suspensions are dealt with in the Department of Player Safety right now. So, yay, like what a crappy thing to have to celebrate. But the reality is that when you have such little victories as having consistent refereeing, then little things like this where you're like, I don't love it, but I like it more than what's been happening. Then, you say, thank you, sir, can I have another?
Exactly. So it we'll monitor it throughout the season, but early returns are surprisingly decent, and I will not complain that much. Like, obviously I'll complain because that's who I am, but like in general, it's been fine. It's been perfectly fine. It happens. And exactly, it happens, and it's not a story, which is exactly what you want. So now focusing on the goals that actually did go in after after the Lorentz goal did not count. Matthew Knies has a chance, bears down in front, rips it. It somehow doesn't go in, but Nylander taps it in Willie Styles, oh shoot, the QR code's kind of blocking
Yeah,
it.
there
But
you go.
Willie Styles is blocking it, but or the QR code blocked it. But Willie Styles on the doorstep, his 12th of the year, moves back into a tie for first in the league in goals. Who would have thought that William Nylander, Rocket Richard candidate?
It wasn't one of the answers in the first period intermission. It was no one had that as an answer. Little bit of a dark horse possibility. Could be. I mean, it's early season, right? Anybody,
Yeah.
it's only November. But up until 2 weeks ago, I was saying anybody can win the cup in October, and anybody can win the Richard in November.
Exactly.
Right? It's all about the second half of the season. The last couple of years, William Nylander has had some stretches where he goes goalless at the end of the year. And if he can keep at that consistent pace, then there's no doubt that he can get over 50.
Oh, yeah.
He's capable of it, absolutely. And tonight, that goal, that is being in the right place at the right time. And it's nice that they got it 5-on-5, first of all. But the more important thing is that they haven't been able to score a lot at 5-on-5 in the last couple of games. And they haven't done a lot of doing what they were getting in terms of power play goals and going to the net and having someone on the doorstep, right where Zach Hyman used to sit, and bat it when it's sitting, 4 inches from the goal line in the paint behind the goalie that has no idea where it is. That is being in the right place at the right time with a good read and a good bounce, and boom, you're able to bury it. And as soon as, it's funny because the William Nylander goal happened like with 5 minutes to go to get them within one.
Yep.
But it really felt like the tide changed when that Lorentz goal was originally done, even though it got called back and didn't count. It really felt like as soon as that happened, and that's 9 minutes left in the game, it really felt like the Leafs that was the time when the Leafs shook the ice off their back, so to speak, and really came to life and started they had more shots on goal than the Caps did for the first time all night, halfway through the third period.
Yeah. And, Nylander, the evolution of his game over the years, that type of goal is what changed him from being a 30-goal guy to a 40-goal guy, is going to those areas. You look at his goal charts since about 2019, that's where he's been scoring, is in and around the net, low slot. He can obviously rip it from outside as well. He has a great shot. But it's the goals at the crease in the dirty areas, cleaning up the garbage. That's how you go from a 30-goal scorer to a 40-goal scorer. Or if you're Austin Matthews, from a 40-goal scorer to a 69-goal scorer. It's cleaning up the garbage, just not being afraid to just do the simple things, right? That's where everyone knows that if you want to score a goal, go to the net. That's as simple as it gets. And that's Craig Berube hockey. Play simply and effectively. So the game tying goal, after the Knies high stick, 50 seconds later or whatever, gets called back with under 2 minutes to go. Leafs pull the goalie. Caps get their chances that we talked about earlier, where Protas declines to shoot at the empty net and tries to pass it, messes it up. Leafs come back the other way, draw a penalty, and get a 6-on-4. And
51.6 seconds to go.
And off the face-off, run a perfectly executed set play. Mitch Marner, bit of a duck of a one-timer, but it goes in. I don't even know. I just laughed when that went in. I'm not going to lie. I started laughing. I don't know about you.
Why? Why did you laugh?
Because I was like, how is this game tied? I went 55 minutes being like, oh, the Leafs don't have it tonight. And then all of a sudden the game's tied and we're going to overtime. And I'm like,
I did kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Great pass by Riley.
Yeah, man, when the Knies deflection happened and it was called no goal because it was a kicking motion or whatever, it was directed in by his leg. I mean, there was like you said, there was 2 minutes left. And it was all of a sudden it was they might make this go to overtime, the bastards. But it felt like, oh, they're going to go to overtime just to lose. Because it didn't really feel like they deserved to even get a point. Up until that last 10 minutes of the game, they did not deserve an overtime point. And it was oh, they're going to go in and get a point, and then Ovi's going to score, the goal to get him one closer to Gretzky as the game-winning goal, which very nearly did happen. But man, that, you talk about what makes Willie go from 30 goals to 40. If Mitch Marner can, set up shop and one time and get, I don't know, 10 more goals, do that once in the playoffs.
Please.
One.
You remember
one
that
time.
It was the 2023 series, the series they won against Tampa, and Marner opens game 2 with a clapper from the point on the power play that just snipes 5-hole. Where's that?
And all of us had to pick our jaw up off the floor.
Yeah. I genuinely like if Mitch Marner can if Berube can get through to him to shoot the motherfucking puck in the playoffs, I will. First of all, Marner will score 10 points a playoff series. Second of all, I will be eternally grateful because that would mean the Leafs' chances of winning a playoff series just skyrocketed. Like,
if he gets, let me put it this way, if he gets 2 more goals in a playoff series, just two,
Leafs probably win.
I don't think that there is a third of the vitriol that Mitch Marner is currently facing. And he's like one of the top point scorers on the team right now. Problem is that when it comes to the playoffs, that dries up like a prune. And if he is able to all of a sudden add this extra tool to his toolbox, like so many other players on the Leafs have done in the last couple of years, then you make yourself more dangerous, you make yourself more valuable, and you make yourself more difficult to deal with the ice. The fact of the matter is they don't have to get two people covering Mitch Marner because he's going to pass it. So if all of a sudden you decide that you're going to shoot and you're going to score five goals a year that are one-timers, which he usually does maybe 2 a year.
Yeah.
If you can do 2 in a playoff series, just two more goals in a playoff series, and if they're that kind of goals, then you ask for $12 million, and there's a pretty good chance that you get it without us really being that upset about it.
To quote the man on the t-shirt I'm wearing, just fucking shoot it. This is the problem. You guys just bitch about shit. Just fucking shoot it. This isn't junior hockey.
It's not junior, bro.
Yeah, which is still the greatest Leafs. He was talking to Matthews too, but it's still this. Just shoot it. And it was there. He ties the game. Now, I'll transition us into the third period here, but we'll talk about the overtime winner here, with overtime in general. First of all, do have to travel back again to the first goal. John Tavares. Has John Tavares, he's been at least the 4th best player on the team, behind the big 3. The setup to Bobby McMahon, which by the way, Bobby McMahon almost blew that. He dances around Matt Roy, who, fan favorite from free agency, and then causes Rasmus Sandin to run away from Bobby McMahon because he's scared about what Tavares is about to do. Leaves Bobby McMahon alone in front.
Fuck.
And which, if Bobby McMahon screwed that up, we would have yelled about it. But
he would have been benched next game.
He tucked it 5-hole, and it was a great play by Tavares. Then we fast forward to overtime, and the Leafs, I felt like they had the puck for 30 years to start overtime. They were just cycling and cycling. Then David Kampf and Matt Nyes are a duo. I don't know what David Kampf has done to warrant overtime ice time over McMahon, but he's there. And it didn't fail, at least. Capitals get the puck. They get a chance. Alex Ovechkin, point blank from the high slot, slap shot, stopped by Wool. And then Marner just tries to clear it. Or he does clear it. And John Tavares wins the foot race and ices it. Yeah.
He was skating so fast, but he was still so slow.
I was half expecting Logan Thompson to sprint out of the net to try to clear that.
Honestly, it's a little bit surprising that he didn't. I mean, at the end of the day, even though John Tavares is no longer a spring chicken and going to jump out the same way that someone young like Matthew Nyes or Alex Steves shot out of a cannon tonight, he had his legs scrambling a little bit like a cartoon character on that last play. You could tell he was skating his ass off, which was great, right? It's so good to see. And then, he buries it, and it was such a good vibe. But I always write my notes, right? I literally put OT. Got 1 point in a game they deserve to lose. Now, they ended up going on and winning. Yeah, I ended up going on and being wrong, which I'm fine. If I'm going to be wrong and they win, then great. Prove me wrong all the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, that's the first time that a Leafs overtime has gone their way. every time they go to overtime, even though I know they've won lots in the last couple of years, boy, it's like I'm watching through like watching a horror movie when you're a kid and you're like watching through your laced fingers and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a play, and bing bang boom, forehand backhand forehand 5-hole.
How many
Going home.
How many goals is that for Tavares on the season? What's he up to? He's up to 9. He's up to 9 goals. And we know like Tavares is usually
Is that second on the team?
It's either
That's more than Matthews.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's way Marner is tied with Matthews after tonight.
That's silliness.
Tavares, because Nyes only has 7. So Tavares is second on the team with 9 goals. He has 9 in 17 games. Hold on, let's do some quick math.
He's a point a game player. Usually, since we've gotten him, he's been a minimum of like a 0.75 point per game player.
John Tavares is currently on pace for 42 goals this season, which would be the second highest in his career. Let's go. So he's been good. Pretty good, man. Yeah, and you know what? Like, I know that he's not the most fleet of foot, but if you put Mitch Marner on his line, if you put someone else that's fast, like, give me a second line of McMahon, Tavares, Marner, and let's go.
Yeah,
let's ride.
Let's go.
Yeah,
100%. I'm down.
And then you could do Robertson, blank 3C, Nylander. Let's ride. Like, yeah. Although I guess Pacioretty gets lost in the shuffle in that scenario, so I don't know. But that is entirely it.
We're not going to talk about the Max Pacioretty injury tonight, are we?
No, because I think he's out long term, isn't he? Like he's out for multiple weeks. So
who knows? Who knows it? He might not be back before Christmas.
No, I
in all honesty,
it's going to be at least a month probably. So and a month takes us into mid-December. So don't count on Pacioretty being back in 2024.
We're hoping for 2025.
Yeah, like which is fine. He only needs to be good for the playoffs, so I don't really care. But
can we talk about the fact really quickly that Morgan Riley? Oh no, I looked at the wrong stat. Never mind.
Okay. We can talk about.
I was going to say something and then it was wrong.
We can talk about Morgan Riley's defensive partner, Yanni Hakanpää. Yeah, he made his. I won't say long awaited, but his debut. We finally have proof that Yanni Hakanpää is a real thing and not just a concept.
He's not Snuffleupagus. We know he's real.
And he looked good, actually. I thought he looked fine. He looked. It looked like a better version of the Riley Lyubushkin pair.
It looked like a better version of who?
Of the Morgan Riley and Ilya Lyubushkin pairing from the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. There wasn't a lot that I noticed him, which is a good thing. He's a very
large human.
Very large human.
Yeah.
I want to see Cole Caulfield flanked by Anthony Stoll. I want to see Cole Caulfield flanked by Dennis Hildeby and Yanni Hakanpää, just for scale, just so it can be like the picture of Wembanyama with anybody.
Yeah. Can we call up Cade Weber too? Let's just.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Let's just get as many 6'7+ players next to Cole Caulfield.
Call Logan Stanley. I'm sure he'll come help us.
No, I hate that guy.
I'm just kidding.
My not so hot take is Logan Stanley is the worst active defenseman in the NHL.
Wow, that is a take.
Tell I'll fight the Jets crew on Game Over about that, but they don't care because they're 15-1. So
Brady Chalis might actually come from Thailand just to kick your ass if you keep talking that smack about Logan Stanley.
I have a lot of takes ever since the that infamous Scheifele. Is there anything like the Spezza knee on Pionk, and then that whole incident caused a lot of opinions about that Jets team that still linger to this day. But we're not here to talk.
Would you say they live rent free in your brain?
Only when they're coming up on the schedule.
Right.
When it's like within a week or two of the game coming up, I'll look and be like, you better beat the fucking Jets. And I know that the next gen game this year is against the Jets on the 23rd of December. So
I'm so glad I will be at work for that day.
Oh, hey, Brendan is actually in the chat. Hey, on Game Over Winnipeg, we're actually actively being nice to Logan, okay? Hey, I'll be the hater.
I'm Brady.
Oh,
Man, it was like I knew he was watching.
He
was actually standing up for Logan Stanley earlier on Twitter, so I was like, this actually came up today. So what's up, Brady? Well, hope you're good, buddy.
And yeah, again, Brendan, you can tell me how much you guys care about anyone else's opinions being 15-1. So, like, probably not. I saw one graphic that someone had tweeted out. It was like I was a Jets fan, and the Leafs were like, "Ha, you only have lost to the Leafs," and they're like, "Cool, we're still the best start in NHL history." So good. Like,
yeah,
I think any Jets fan would take that. Like, sure, in the moment losing to the Leafs probably sucked, but they do not care at all.
Listen, when if that record is extended and they go on like a silly run that's wild and is never beaten for the next 80 years or whatever, like it's not like the stat is going to have an asterisk that says, "But they lost to the Leafs." Yuck.
You know what?
Like, it's not going to do that.
And you know what? I hope that the Jets literally win every single game up until the December 23rd, and then their only 2 losses before Christmas are the Leafs. How funny would it be if they were like 27-2 and they like that...
the Leafs are that like the meme of what's his face sitting over the grave like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like the undefeated except for this one opponent.
Listen, you said it, not me. I don't need that kind of karma coming after me.
I would be totally okay with that. Actually, I'd be perfectly fine. They're in the West.
I'd be thrilled.
They how many Eastern teams do they play between now and then? That would help us so much.
I don't want Connor Hellebuck to have that much confidence going into
the Four Nations. Yeah.
Four Nations.
Well, I think
Just saying.
I was listening to Kaya and Peter talking about this on Game Over Vancouver /Calgary last night, and Canada is so screwed. Who's Canada's goalie right now? Jordan Binnington?
I don't know. I'm just glad that that's not my worry.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I don't. I'm too old to speculate about shit like that now. Like I got bigger fish to fry. Like if my cat's going to invade my stream, there is no good option right now. The fact of the matter is, like a month and a half after the Four Nations Cup, the actual trial that we all know is going to happen will be happening, and that will be 8 weeks long, and I'm sure will be a very good talking point. And if that didn't happen when it did several years ago, then maybe the goalie lineup looks different. But right now, that's the goalie lineup that we have, and I'm glad that the player that could have been on the list isn't.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
Just
Carter Hart can become the best prison league goalie of all time. If for any football fans out there, it's like there's a running joke of all the NFL players that are actually criminals, like Henry Ruggs kicking it in NFL prison league, or like, hey, we could start a meme for hockey players. The only difference is hockey players have done a better job up until recently of covering up their crimes.
Yeah.
But
they don't maybe commit as many egregious crimes as people in other sports.
No, I mean
frequently.
There's a player in the NFL. Like there are several players in the NFL right now that have there's a guy in Minnesota. His name's Jordan Addison. He's a wide receiver, very good wide receiver, plays every week. And last summer he got caught going 140 miles an hour in a 50 zone. But he's a good. That's okay. Just don't gamble, kids. But
listen, I don't want us to be sued here. I don't want us to slander anybody. But just don't commit crimes, guys. That's
public
my
record. Hey, I am referring everything in the public record.
This is all speculated. Speculation.
It is all speculative.
Alleged only.
And like if all the Hockey Canada people are found not guilty, all power to them. But yeah. With that being said, we will transition to a less controversial overtime segment. This is the time before we get sued. This is the time for everyone in the chat to leave your questions down for us about the Leafs. And again, reminder to like and subscribe while I await some questions. A quick note, make sure you go check out Hyperdrive Hockey, which is the Game Over Network's flagship show. You can find it on the Game Over Network's main YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts as well. They do a great job. and there is a new segment on the Friday shows where they do a debate segment with some of the Game Over hosts. I think it's called Sorry Not Sorry or something like that, because us Canadians do say sorry about a lot of things, so that's kind
Sorry
of
about that.
Sorry, the whole part of the whole gimmick. So, but yeah, in the meantime, Lauren, the Leafs, I think they have 4 games in the next 10 days. A little bit of a lighter break in the schedule after all the back-to-backs. What are you looking to see from the Leafs over the next week?
I am looking to see if anybody that's on injury comes back. That would be great. I am looking to see if the Leafs can actually keep up the consistency that they've had of not taking like a stupid amount of penalties. We haven't talked about that. The first 14 games of the season, the Leafs were taking well over 4 penalties a game. Game 11, they took 3 penalties. Game 15, they took 2. Tonight's game, game 18, they take 2. No, they only took 1. It was the Holmberg call, the boarding call.
Yeah.
There was almost a double minor. Yeah. There was almost a double minor, but it was called off. The trend that I hope continues is I hope that the Leafs continue to not go into the box as much as they did to start the season. They were averaging 10 minutes a night where they were down a mound, and even though it ended up with them having a very good PK because they were getting lots and lots of practice, that's not good. And so the fact that they have been able to basically have the number of penalties they've taken per game, that's what I'm hoping continues into the next game. How about you, Zach? What do you want? What do you want to see, and what do you want to avoid?
Well, first of all, I have to take a victory lap because I also realized something while you were talking about penalties. Dom and I talked about this, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, but it finally happened. I said at some point soon, I want to have a show where special teams is not a talking point. And we actually got there. The power play
High five, buddy.
was not mentioned whatsoever. Like it was beautiful. I love it. So, but yeah, the penalties, not a note because they didn't really take any, which is a good thing.
It's so nice that we don't have to talk about it right now.
I know, right? Matt, I'm all in for the shade on Carter Hart. And how fun is it to watch Craig Berube scream at players?
That's pretty good, man. I mean, it's nice that he's holding them accountable. They're all grown-ups. And if you haven't been yelled at your job at some point, it'll happen.
The only note I have on it is people, the whole offseason, it was like, we got to hold, there's got to be more accountability. I really hope that accountability to this team means more than yelling at the core 4 every now and again. Like it has to be actual accountability. Like Nick Robertson scoring 1 goal so far this season, so he gets taken out of the lineup. Pontus Holmberg has done nothing. Why is he here? Ryan Reeves has done nothing. Why is he here? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be more than performative.
It's definitely it's getting a lot. There's a lot of, if you haven't seen the movie Office Space, please go watch it. There's a lot of what would you say you do here happening with the bottom 6. Steven Lorentz, I know what he's gonna do. If Alex Steves wants to stay up in the lineup and he plays as hard as he does tonight, then great. Pontus Holmberg, what would you say you do here? What do you do?
Pontus Holmberg.
You really like gaining the zone. You really like getting the puck and then turning it over immediately. You love stick handling with one hand on your stick near the boards and then turning it over. You don't really do a good job of driving the net. You don't really do a good job of good clearing the net. You're okay at forechecking, but you take more penalties than you draw. The past decisions that he makes, like he has more turnovers per game than basically anybody else on the team recently. It seems like there's not. I don't know what he's doing that is so valuable. I think that what do you say you do here?
Pontus Holmberg is the definition of a cardio merchant. Remember when Mitch Marner said that Holmberg was one of the most talented players he's ever played with?
Yeah, I think that he was. I think that he was just being facetious.
Yeah. Matt saying Reeves, quote, I have people skills. That's about exactly what Ryan Reeves does. Luke, love to see you here again. Luke has been one of the most loyal Game Over Toronto fans. Everyone talks about which players are struggling, but is Berube struggling specifically to adapt mid-game? I would say Berube is currently struggling more with not having enough NHL quality players. Like,
Yeah, I think he's struggling with not having. I think he's struggling with the team being so inconsistent. They go through these spells where it's like you can play so well. You can play so well that it makes other teams be like, "Oh my gosh, if the Leafs can play like this in May, then it's a different story." And then there's games like last night where you're like, "Where? Like what? Why are the 2010 Leafs back?"
Yeah. So I think in general, throughout an NHL season, you will see in October, it's a frenzy. It's a free-for-all. Players are just playing. And then throughout the season, as we get closer to the playoffs, a coach installs their schemes and their systems. Specifically with a new coach, it's going to take time. I will judge Berube a lot more intensely in January and beyond than I will the first few months of the season. I consider this kind of an introductory period where I'm evaluating the players on the roster a lot more than the coaching staff. I know we've yelled about Mark Savard a lot, but hey, guess what? The power play has gotten better as we get further into the season where coaching tends to take over. So, and lo and behold, the players, like what Berube all season has been like, we need to be more direct. We need to get pucks to the net. We need to have more action. Now that that's happening, the power play goals are going in. Who would have thought? Listen to your coach, you morons. Like,
well, and not even just the power play goals. That William Nylander goal is a perfect example.
Yep.
Right? Go to the net. Even the McMahon goal, the 5-hole goal. That's a nice goal, man. I mean, part of that is Sandin just completely whiffing on covering his man and leaving, Bobby McMahon open on the other side of the ice.
Sandin,
but the fact of the matter is, no. But the fact of the matter is the Leafs previously have not had people in the position to take those opportunities and bury them. Now, do they bury them every time? No. But they're doing it more consistently than they have in years past. And that is at least a step forward in a way that we haven't seen. This coach, okay, Coach Berube, he's maybe the first coach where he's in like the post-game interviews. He's not just saying, well, we were doing a lot of the good things and getting a lot of pucks on it and it just didn't go our way. He's really been able to be like, we didn't play well enough. Mm-hmm. This team, in fairness, Keefe did do that sometimes. We just didn't play well enough. The other team wanted it more, but he sounded more defeatist. Berube is like, they wanted it more. It's matter of fact. It's not like, oh, sad us. It's a lot more, we didn't play hard enough. It's not on them that they played harder than us because we were playing our best. They were playing hard and we weren't, and we need to be better. Him actually coming out and physically saying the words, we need to be more direct. We're being too cute with it. At no point in Sheldon Keefe's career has he looked at a lineup that contained Mitch Marner or William Nylander or Timothy Liljegren or Rasmus Sandin and actually said out loud, oh, we're being too cute with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I in mentioning that, I thought it'd be a good idea to go check some of the post-game quotes. And Berube was not the one that had headlines. Spencer Carberry was as angry. This is from Tariq El Bashir. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a Caps insider. Carberry was as angry as I've ever seen him after tonight's loss to Toronto. The second half of a back-to-back, second half of the game, I thought, not good at all. Embarrassing for that matter. The way that game played out, just embarrassing, flat out unrecognizable from our team.
Good for him, man. Listen, Spencer Carberry, first year as a head coach, from everything that I've seen, he has put the Caps in a position that none of us really thought that they were going to be in to start the season. Like, considering the people that they have in their lineup and the steps back that they have taken in terms of their personnel and the people that they've lost, I like that he's being that blunt, honestly. I think that's probably a breath of fresh air in Washington as much as it is for Toronto.
Yeah, and for Berube's side, he just said, we gave up 24 shots in the second half of a back-to-back, and obviously the second half of the game was better. He said both Nyes and Lorentz goals should have counted, which is funny. Matt, are we surprised that Sandin did not score against the Leafs tonight? Well, he did have an assist on the Protoss goal when, I mentioned it earlier, when every Leaf decided to crash to the same side of the net and leave Protoss wide open. It was Sandin that went to the other side, so and passed it across, but is what it is. And it seems that Lauren has frozen. Oh, might be back.
I'm just sitting very still. Here's I don't know
Oh.
what happened there.
Yeah,
Got a little bit of
you're very laggy right now, Lauren. I think the Discord is breaking up a little bit, but that's okay. We are at the end of the stream, so thank you all for watching. If you're with us still, or if you're watching after the fact, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're listening on podcasting platforms, make sure that you follow the show. Give us a rating. You can find me on Twitter at ZachPayne41, on YouTube at ZachPayne41, and I have an NFL podcast, The Payne and Drain Show, if you're interested in some Detroit Lions content as well. Lauren, it looks like, is still frozen, but you can find Lauren on Twitter at LaurenIn6 on Twitter as well. So make sure you go follow us over there. Thank you all so much for being here tonight with us to break down Leafs Caps, and we will see you guys next time. Go Leafs, go. Cheers, everyone.